Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes. Aquí tienen las instrucciones para el día de hoy, martes el 26 de octubre. Your only homework for today was to complete, or to continue working on at the very least, your Dia de los Muertos project that is due next week, at the beginning of next week. So hopefully those are going along well. Your daily agenda question is to complete exercise 5, page 50, numbers 1 through 5 out of the textbook. Take a look at that. So you have 5 descriptions here of different extracurricular activities, and you're going to pick the vocabulary term from pages 46 and 47 that you think best fits each description. So, for example, enseña a los estudiantes a crear una página web y a hacer búsquedas en la red. Someone who teaches students to create web pages and to search for things online, or to do searches online. That would be una profesora de la clase de tecnología. So pick someone who saca fotos como pasatiempo o para su trabajo, someone who takes pictures as a pastime or as their job. Alguien que toca un instrumento en la orquesta o en la banda, someone who plays a musical instrument in the orchestra or in the band. So pick the vocabulary term that best fits each of those descriptions. It's going to be vocabulary that's deriving from here, referring to people. Animador, animadora, músico, música, fotógrafo, fotógrafa, bailarín, bailarina, or cantante. Thereafter, we are going to review the vocabulary that we were just looking at on pages 46 and 47. You guys are going to complete conversation practice exercises 6 and 8, and then an in-class activity which you're going to submit in Canvas, and that is the Y tú qué dices, numbers 1 through 4 on page 52. Only homework is to continue working on your project for El Dia de los Muertos, which again is due next week. Let's take a look at those conversation activities. Conversation exercise 6 on page 51. You guys are going to follow the model here and then ask or answer this question directed to you. ¿Conoces a un miembro de? And basically what this exercise is doing, and you're going to do it with a partner, to ask them, do you know a member of the band, for example? El Club de Ajedrez for number 1. So you're going to replace the example with El Club de Ajedrez. Question for number 1 would be, ¿Conoces a un miembro de El Club de Ajedrez? If you do know someone that's a member of that extracurricular, then you would start off by saying, sí, conozco a, and then you're going to put the person's name. If you don't know anybody in that club or sport, no conozco a ningún miembro de, and then you're going to replace la banda with whatever the extracurricular is. For example, el equipo de natación, el coro, el equipo de hockey, el equipo de fotografía, and then number 6 would be la orquestra. If we don't have that extracurricular at Liberty, maybe a chess club, potentially not. Hockey we don't have for sure. Everything else I think we do. Then you would say no tenemos, right? No tenemos el equipo de hockey. No tenemos el club de ajedrez. All right? And you can take a look at this video to get an idea as to what it would sound like.
¿Conoces a un miembro de la banda? No conozco a ningún miembro de la banda.
So you're going to do, well, you and your partner are going to switch, right? One person does part A, ask the question, and the other person will do part B and respond. And that is the conversation for exercise 6. For exercise 8 on the following page, it's kind of surmising everything that we've been looking at for the past week, right? Talking about extracurriculars. I want you to write 3 things that you participate in after school. You did this, if you look at your warm-up, you did this, I believe, at the very beginning of last week. And you can pull in some of the new vocabulary that we've looked at since. So write 3 phrases to describe the extracurriculars that you partake in after school. You have a variety there that you can make reference to. And then what you're going to do for the second part is you're going to ask people the question that you responded to for the last warm-up. ¿En qué actividades extracurriculares participas? Ask them what do they do for extracurriculars. And then you're going to jot down what they do in the third person singular. That's the key. Just like how you guys did it for the warm-up, again, at the beginning of last week. So for the third person singular, remember, you're going to use the él, ella, usted form. Anytime we talk about other people, one person, singular, we're always going to use the él, ella form, which means he or she. So whatever verb they give you, practicar, jugar, nadar, tocar, leer, escribir, dibujar, actuar, any verb, you're going to conjugate that using the third person singular ending. So if it's an AR verb, your conjugation is going to end in A. If it's an ER or IR verb, your conjugation is going to end in E when you write it out. And that's what you're going to do for exercise 8 on page 51 is write it out and say what they do. Juan juega fútbol americano. José toca la guitarra. Emily practica softball. ¿Cierto? Whatever the verb is, make sure you have it in the third person singular. So you're going to do 3 for yourself, 3 things that you participate in the yo form, and then 5 people. Talk about 5 people and what they do after school. And you don't need to limit it to just one thing that they do. You can put more than one thing if you so choose. All right, the last thing that we're going to do for today, that's exercise 9, the ¿Y tú qué dices? On page 52. This you're going to submit in Canvas. Everything else goes in your notes. But exercise 9 really kind of sums everything up that we've looked at thus far with the key vocab for your extracurricular. So let's walk through each of these questions together. Number 1, ¿qué te gusta más? What do you like more? ¿Ser miembro de un club o participar en un deporte y por qué? So what do you prefer more? What do you like most? Being a member of a club or participating in a sport, and why? Me gusta más ser miembro de un club. O me gusta más participar en un deporte porque soy miembro del club de computadoras. Soy miembro del club de matemáticas. Soy miembro del club de arte. Maybe you want to talk about the clubs you're a part of. If you pick participar en un deporte, then your response would be because of whatever sport you play. Yo juego baseball. Yo practico voleibol. Yo participo en fútbol americano. Right? Número 2. ¿Usas la computadora mucho o poco en tu tiempo libre? Do you use the computer a lot, mucho, or a little in your free time? Conjugate the verb usar in the yo form, and then just choose mucho o poco. And you can just take this whole sentence and make it a statement. But you gotta conjugate usar in the yo form to do that. ¿Para qué usas más la computadora? What do you use the computer for the most? Same thing. Change usas to the yo form. Get rid of para qué and then just indicate the purpose or purposes for using the computer. ¿Cuánto tiempo pasas en línea cada día? ¿Cuánto tiempo pasas en línea? How much time do you spend or pass online every day? Change pasas into the yo form, and then in between the verb pasar and en línea, indicate how much time. If you have a smartphone, I'm sure you could look it up. If you have an iPhone, you get notified every week what your daily usage is of being on your phone. ¿Cuáles son las actividades más populares en tu escuela? What are the most popular activities in your school? So the easiest way to do this would just be list. Teatro, el club de arte y campo travieso son las actividades más populares en mi escuela. Basketball, baseball y el club de animadores son las actividades más populares en mi escuela. So basically replace cuáles with the answer. The most popular activities at our school. You don't need to describe, just identify. ¿Hay suficientes actividades para jóvenes en nuestra escuela, en tu escuela? It's a yes or no question. Begin with sí or no, and then restate that statement. Sí hay actividades, suficientes actividades para jóvenes en mi comunidad. No hay suficientes actividades para jóvenes en mi comunidad. It's your opinion, right? If there are extracurriculars that we're lacking here at Liberty, what extracurriculars do you think we should offer? ¿Qué otras actividades debe ofrecer? Debe ofrecer rugby. Debe ofrecer cricket. Debe ofrecer intramural football or intramural soccer. Lo que sea. You can put it in English if you want to. Especially if the activity is in English, it may even not have a translation into Spanish. All right, that is your in-class assignment, ¿Y tú qué dices? And you'll submit it here in Canvas before the end of the day, ideally before the end of the period. Homework for next class, continue working on your Dia de los Muertos project, and make sure to have that ready to share by next week. Nos vemos en clase, muchachos. Adiós. Chao.